You had problems with joint pain, both in your arms and legs, right? How were these pains getting to you?
But when I used to get up in the morning that I had to wash, I couldn't wash my face because my arms couldn't reach it well. They were all hurting. So there was pain in both elbows and shoulders, let's say arms directly.
And then you discovered the Life 120 lifestyle, and now how is it going? I mean, I can see that you move them quietly.
Now everything is solved and I have no more problems.
Your mom, I read that she also suffered from neck pain and joint pain in her hands, knees, back.
Right.
Right? Did they also give problems in moving around? In everything?
Yes, in fact, at first the doctors even misdiagnosed because they went on the, let's say, physiatric rheumatological diagnosis because the picture was not simple.
It was not simple. How is he now?
Now he no longer has a pain.
So the lady told me in a very faint voice, because she is a bit shy, of course, she said, not even the evening. She says, so I go quietly all day. How are you? Good, that pleases us. You had problems with back pain, so much so that you slept even on the floor.
That's right, yes.
So you were in a lot of pain.
I had pains that then also affected my legs, and very often I had to sleep with 3 pillows under my legs to try to get a few hours of sleep. That then sleep was disturbed because in that way, rightly, I slept very little.
So then you met Life 120. Now how is your back doing?
I no longer have any problems. I don't have them anymore.
Where
Absolutely.
do you sleep now?
On the bed.
You had lumbar and cervical protrusions. What kind of problem were they giving you? Severe pain in the neck and back. So they were also impeding your movements? Yes. And then also sciatica. Also sciatica. Then you started Life 120, and now how are these pains?
The pains are almost all gone. I'm very well.
So we are in an optimal resolution, especially the knee pain, because I had to have knee surgery. You needed an intervention and solved it that way. Yes. I read here a very difficult situation, very serious, because you had arthrosis problems at the lumbar and cervical level, and it was also taking you, in the last few years, it was also affecting you at the rib cage. Added to that was arthrosis in your right big toe, if I'm not mistaken, which was particularly bothering you, obviously, because also in walking and in your knees. So basically it was affecting you everywhere, such that the doctors were calling it galloping arthrosis.
Yes, that's right, a galloping arthrosis in the hands as well. Perhaps this detail escaped a bit with the classic nodules all over and severe unbearable pain.
And for these pains, were you taking medication?
Yes, because being treated at a specialist center, I had been told that for this kind of disease there was no hope and no cure.
So the doctors had told you that you were hopeless.
The only drugs they prescribed were anti-inflammatory drugs that were also powerful, but in the early days maybe relieved something, but then after that they didn't do any more.
Then you learned about the Life 120 lifestyle, as we know. After how many days did you have an improvement in that respect?
Well, from the disciplinary beginning, let's call it that, of the diet, after 25 days I got up one morning and I didn't feel anything anymore.
You had arthritic problems in both knees and hips.
I would be prosthetic from the tests, from my MRIs, however. With this style of eating, having lost weight, I can go on like this for now. I have improved my situation.
I know you had arthritic problems in your hand, in your right shoulder, and also in your knees. So basically it was all pain.
When I would walk more than a quarter of an hour, my right knee would hurt. My shoulder, I couldn't even wash my neck anymore with my right hand that I now get to this other shoulder.
So that can also be considered what you said earlier.
Yes, a bad memory as well.
I read that you had joint pain in your legs, back and arms since your 20s.
20 years. I have been going on more than 50 years.
50 plus years with these types of issues. What kind of issues were these pains giving you? I guess they were also preventing you from movement.
Yes, I started with sciatica. Then my back, my knees, and I would go on and on with therapies.
What kind of therapies?
I was doing TENS, then I was doing infiltrations, and I would go on anti-inflammatories.
Look, then you met the Life 120 lifestyle, and now how is it going?
That's great. That's really good.
So where are your joint pains?
Out and about, they're gone.
Are gone. And what about his medications?
Even those, I don't take them anymore.
You were having trouble walking, you had been operated on one knee and the other one had no cartilage left. Is that true?
Yes, there I had rejection. I still have it. I was 100% disabled. I had accompaniment. I wanted to walk. I had to walk with my wheelchair. And after 3 days that I eliminated, I started to walk.
I'd like to understand it well. I'll give a little summary. You had these knee problems. You were practically 100% disabled. You were using a wheelchair. And after how many days did you start walking again?
3 days.
I'd like to ask you how it's going. However, I know you came expeditiously from our fifths, but I also know that you do physical activity, right?
Sure, I go 5 days to the pool, I tend my garden, I tend my house, I go dancing every Sunday.
I read, ma'am, that you suffer, or at least used to suffer, from bilateral arthritis in your knees and back, right?
Yes.
What kind of issues were they giving you? Were they painful?
Very painful, disabling. I couldn't climb into bed and get out, climb the shower step. The little daily things with suffering, I used to do them, but with so much suffering.
Here you are telling me so much suffering. I read that at one point you also wondered how much time you had left to live.
Yes, because I also felt organically very debilitated, because I was taking cortisone, antibiotics, all these things damaged me, even at the level of the liver, spleen, kidney, they were hurting me. Then when I took off these drugs, I started to feel good. When I started with this lifestyle, I was reborn because all these pains in the liver, kidney, they disappeared.
I know that because of these very issues, you were even stuck at one point.
Yes, stuck. Just such a strong twinge, like when they get a stab wound. I was bent over, and I don't know how he got in the house because I was alone. It's terrible, look. And so then we investigated, and there was an injury, a back injury.
How long after you started doing Life 120 did you have such benefits that these pains, these issues went away?
It took me a little bit longer. A couple of months.
A couple of months?
Yes, let's say that the pains have subsided a lot. They are muffled. However, there are still a little bit. There is still walking. But until the Lord calls me, I will always do this lifestyle because it is a wonderful thing.
I know that you were suffering from back pain.
Yes.
How much?
Has been for about 15 years as well as 20 years.
So about 15 and 20 years because of the kind of work you were doing.
Yes, and so I was doing the Toradol and Voltaren shots together. And in addition, I was also going for therapies. However, this 2-3 times a year, always, I had to do them, unfortunately, always.
Look, then you met the Life 120 lifestyle, and now how is your back?
Great. Now I'm great. I always say Life 120, always thanks to Quattro Ciocchi Giovanni. Eh?
Here, that today we have in our parterre.
My neighbor.
Listen, so how is your back pain?
I'm fine now. Nothing. It's been a year and a half since I've had a shot. Nothing. But not even a headache, an aspirin, an Oki, a year and a half without pills.
You had been suffering from back problems for several years, and I read that you had also been told that you had an atrophied medullary canal. What was causing this for you?
This thing I discovered last year in January by having an MRI, because after the many times I had this back pain, which with the shots I used to tamp it down for a short time and then it would come back again. Also because I do a little bit of a heavy job. And basically it was discovered with the MRI that I have this spinal canal that probably already from birth, I had it tight. And then I was told that with age, little by little, it even atrophied.
How did you treat him?
Cortisone, so cortisone right away. Then the neurosurgeon had scheduled an infiltration, which I did in column, again of pure cortisone on the 3rd of June. And after 2 months, I still had back pain. I was still back to where I was before. I went back to the neurosurgeon for a checkup, and he had told me that he would probably do another infiltration in October.
Meanwhile, you know the Life 120 lifestyle.
In the meantime, I don't know what happened to me. I was enlightened by somebody on the 28th of August. I'm at the bar. I started together with Ms. Anna and let me watch this AP channel, which, by the way, I was kind of stupid because it was a good year and a half that I knew about this TV. I was being told about it by a great friend of mine who has herbal medicine. And she was telling me anyway to do this lifestyle to get a lot of benefits. I, however, was taking it lightly and not stopping it.
Now then, you met the Life 120 lifestyle. You said it started on the 28th of August. And now how is your back?
Now my back is very good, really very good.
Look, I'm going to fast forward with you again because I read that you had other problems as well. So-called tennis elbow, shoulder cuff problems, knee pain,
Yes, it's all gone. I used to struggle up and down the stairs. Now I look like a deer. Always up and down the stairs.
You also had a really very important and also very painful problem because you had 4 herniated discs. You had 1 cervical, 2 dorsal, and 1 lumbar.
That's right.
What problems did these pathologies give you?
Big problems because I was practically already getting up in the morning with pains, so it was a really very bad way to start the day. I had even tried changing mattresses from the classic spring mattress to the memory foam mattress that is supposed to alleviate these kinds of problems, but nothing changed, so I kept having these pains every morning when I got up.
I know you also got stuck.
Yes, every time I did some movement, some particular twisting, or took something a little bit heavy, I would get stuck for 2 or 3 days. I had to go on muscaril injections, Buscofen, and so on.
So, I mean, you were also taking medication to be able to alleviate. Then you started the Life 120 lifestyle. And after how much improvement did you find?
Very little. Let's say that after a few weeks, already in the morning, the pains were almost gone.
So, farewell to the muscular and farewell to the medication?
No, nothing. I didn't even take tablets anymore, nothing.
I read that you had a problem, an arthritic problem in your knee that had been swelling for about 5 years?
Yes. Then they also took out some fluid that had inflated. Yes, this liquid had formed.
Is it true that you could no longer walk well and had difficulty taking the stairs?
Yes, I couldn't walk or climb stairs or bend over. But sometimes the pain was so bad that I had to stay on the couch with ice.
Look, and then a year ago, of course, doctors recommend that you have to have the operation.
Yes, an intervention, yes. For them, there was no solution. After also having hyaluronic acid shots, always continuing to put this ice on, being at rest, but no luck, nothing.
It wouldn't resolve. Start the Life 120 lifestyle, and now how is your knee doing?
No, it's flared up completely. I move it, I bend it.
You were having problems with periarthritis in your shoulder.
Correct.
So you were having problems just moving around?
Yes, I basically had great difficulties because working with the computer, the mouse, the arm, one fine morning it basically died. So infiltration, and so on to get it working again. The pains, however, continued. This thing didn't stop. It didn't resolve with these treatments. And so after having discovered Life 120, the shoulder, basically, the pain went away. It never recurred.
After a bad fall, you started to have very disabling pain in your foot, such that you couldn't even take the stairs anymore and you had difficulty walking. Is that right?
True.
True. Added to this was also joint pain in the hips and hands.
True.
You confirmed that. Then you started doing the Life 120 lifestyle, and now how is your ankle
Very
doing?
good. I'm walking well.
What about your joint pains in your hips and hands?
Much better, very good.
Great. You had arthritic shoulder cuff problems.
Terrible.
And severe knee problems.
Terrible. The whole left side was all sore, an unbelievable thing. On the street, I had to lean against the walls, and sometimes my feet wouldn't move. I had to stand there and wait with the pain.
And you were also slated for surgery.
Yes, for the knee, because the orthopedist told me. At the cuff, it doesn't suit because it wouldn't have the positive effects and so on. But for the knee, especially for walking, it would be appropriate.
However, you started doing the Life 120 lifestyle. Now, how is your shoulder doing?
So, my shoulder, guys, I turn it like this. I walk without the help of the cane. I shop with small weights. I'm independent. And now I cross my legs after 10 years.
You had an arthritis problem in your hands and some pain in your arms and forearms.
That's right. Practically during the course of the night, I would wake up in severe pain, excruciating, you might call it. And in the morning, I often and frequently could not close my hands from the pain and numbness I had.
So basically, in addition to taking them at night, therefore disturbing your sleep, you really had problems with manipulation. In short,
that's right. And often I had to put them under hot water to be able to close them and open them a little bit, because otherwise there was no way.
There was no way. Then, we know you start following the Life 120 lifestyle. Now, how are your arms, your hands?
Are they back to normal?
For 20 years, you had arthritis problems in your knees. And you had also been told to have the surgery, right?
Oh yes, 20 years ago.
You were strongly advised to have this surgery 20 years ago.
Yes, after all the checks done by specialists, they tell me that they have come right to the surgery because there is no more cartilage. Of course, 20 years ago, I was even a little younger. Then after...
Added to this were arthritic problems in your hands, such that you didn't even have strength to pick up objects.
In fact, I used to drop stuff from my hands. Now lately, then I had to always have the husband by my side, someone, even if I had to pick up a pot, because my hands, I would drop stuff without noticing. Then they would hurt me, everything. Hands swollen.
Listen to that, because we didn't finish, unfortunately. I read you also had some arthritic problems in your hips, that they weren't
yes.
making you not sleep because of how strong they
Now
were.
at night, they wouldn't let me sleep anymore, and I had gotten right to a disabling situation that I had to go back to my orthopedist as I was doing the infiltration in my knees, and he was doing them in my hips as well. But I had gotten to a bad situation.
Now, however, you have started following the Life 120 lifestyle, and I'll list it for you. So you started in October, so how are your knees doing?
I had to redo the shots now. In March in my routine, fall and spring. I was a duty to redo the maintenance, because otherwise I would not walk. I can really thank him, this doctor that I found 20 years ago, because at the moment he freed me from the surgery, because otherwise it was true to me that I would do it again.
So you didn't redo that injection you were supposed to have routinely in March. How are your knees doing?
Very good, because now I haven't done it. After 20 years, for the first time, I still didn't go because my knees don't hurt.
Let's go higher on the hips. How are they sleeping peacefully? Are they giving you more
The hips,
pain?
right after the first week that I did the feeding, I slept well with the hips. My knees took me a little bit longer.
The hands?
The hands. The hands still can't believe it, because after 3 weeks, I was sitting at the table. It came to me to do that, and I could feel my fingers getting crossed. I like it very much because I always had them swollen, and more than that I didn't do, and then I was able to close them all. And I couldn't believe it. I have them light.
However, it is true because we also see it.
The stuff no longer falls out of my hands. I feel the strength.
I know you also had some problems of joint pain in your shoulder and knees.
My knees couldn't even lower, and then when I was carrying this shoulder bag there, it's an unbelievable thing. I had to stop because I was having twinges, hallucinating pains, just terrible.
Now you bring it back. Will you bring the bag back?
Yes, quiet. I removed the arm.
And the knees?
There is no longer a problem.
You have problems in your shoulder and your knees, so just sore, right?
That's right.
Could you do all the movements without having problems?
Sometimes I would get stuck. I even went to the emergency room all the time, because when you can't even put it in gear in the car, so it really means you're not moving forward anymore.
You started the Life 120 lifestyle. Now, how are your knees,
I get up from the couch chair without even support. It's unbelievable.
You had arthritic problems in your back, and in particular, a neck that was giving you a lot of pain. And at one point, you also ended up in the hospital because you were taking too many pain medications. Is that true?
Yes.
So the pain was so great?
Well, yes, it was also taking my whole arm. I wasn't using it anymore, and they were doing infiltrations that were hurting me. Because it was hurting, it was also making me lose my strength with those injections there.
Look, then you started to follow the Life 120 lifestyle. Now I'm asking you right now, how is your back pain, your neck pain?
I sleep all night. I don't have any more.
You sleep all night long?
The painkillers, I don't take any, so.
You were also suffering from shoulder problems so much, and I'll give a little story. You had 2 surgeries, and you had 3 tendons reconstructed, correct me if I'm wrong. But then after these surgeries and this reconstruction, the pains came back and your shoulder was getting stuck. Is that right? That's right. And it keeps relocking. Then in June last year, because of this very issue, they put you on the list to have an operation, a shoulder cuff prosthesis. You then start to do the Life 120 lifestyle. And I know they called you some time ago from the hospital to admit you.
10 days ago.
Exactly 10 days ago. So you had this shoulder problem, which you had tried to solve with various operations and had failed. You put yourself on the list for this operation, for reconstruction, of course, of the shoulder cuff. They call you a week ago to do the operation. And what do you say?
Nothing. I refused it because I had no more pain. I can move my arm better than before.
So you started to do the Life 120 lifestyle. This shoulder doesn't give you pain anymore. You want to ask. Tell us why you don't want to do this surgery anymore, why you don't have pain anymore, so thank you.
I move my arm better than before. I couldn't get it up before. Now I can do everything.
You, from a few weeks doing Life 120, had problems in both arms and elbows, joint problems. So in normal movements that a person does daily, you had joint pain, right?
Pretty severe pains, especially in the morning. As soon as I got up, I had kind of numb fingers, hands that I couldn't open properly, shoulder pains. I basically, after 2 weeks of Life 120, along with reflux and gastritis, it all went away.
Even then, his joint pain in his arms?
I raised my arms, moved my hands, I have nothing left.
you had been suffering from widespread joint pain for years, both in your knees, back, neck, and also in your hips, pardon the pun, so also a hip problem. When did they catch you? And I know that during the night they were also getting you very strong.
Yes. I was forced to go every night to the doctor's office, to the doctors and doctors who are watching me, who don't see me anymore though. Unfortunately, every night doing these double shots of muscaril and Voltaren to quell these pains.
Added to that, if you will allow me, was a foot problem because you had a calcaneal spine in your heel, and that just prevented you from resting your foot.
Yes, even above and even below. I changed 7 pairs of shoes and could never wear them. I dance now, Benedetto.
Now then, after you started following the Life 120 lifestyle, how are your pains also widespread throughout your body?
Gone.
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 You also suffered from osteoarthritis. In what parts of the body did you have these issues?
Arthrosis, particularly very, very excessive knees and shoulders.
So you had difficulty both walking and moving your arms. Were you also taking medication for this condition?
Of course, I used to consume a box of Oki or All-In every week.
So much? Even
Yes,
in 1 week?
to solve the pains.
To solve those pains. But then, as you said before, you started to follow the Life 120 lifestyle. And now how are you doing with your arthritis?
Great, I haven't had any more problems.
Are you still taking medication?
No, on no medication.
After how much improvement have you seen on this issue?
But as soon as the first 3 weeks have passed,
Even only after 3 weeks. I stay with you, however, because you had been having back pain problems for more than 10 years.
that's right.
With herniated lumbar discs, right? Is it true that you had problems just moving around? Sometimes you would get stuck. What was happening to you?
Nothing. I had this pathology with herniated discs. And of course, even with the work that I do, I drive streetcars. It often created problems for me. I start this lifestyle, and to me, it's all gone.
It's all gone. A question. Were you taking medication to treat this back pain?
Of course, also infiltrations at the rheumatologist in Cesena.
That's it. After you started following the Life 120 lifestyle and you say you are healed, do you continue to take these medications?
No more medicines.
Perfect. You were suffering from somewhat scattered joint pain and also in the hips, such that you practically could not walk. You had to stop every 10 meters. Is what they report true?
Yes, my knees were hurting, my hips, my back.
The various body parts that were really preventing your mobility, right? Then you started following the Life 120 lifestyle, and now how are your pains?
Very good, so I can walk longer without being out of breath, without a cane, so I'm good.